Abbie. Thank you for registering for today's webinar about PR with purpose, cutting through the noise. My name is Jane Pendlebury. I'm CEO of HOSPA, the Hospitality Professionals Association. It's Wednesday, the 13th of August, 2025. It's 10 a.m. and it's another warm and bright day in the UK. I'm delighted to be joined by Abbie Wilson from Pic PR, who we've successfully worked with for a number of years now, and Laura Cherrington from Billesley Manor, who has a great story to tell. We're due to be chatting for around 30 minutes today with time for questions at the end. So we should be finished around 10:45 at the latest. Please do ask questions throughout using the Q&A option, which is probably at the bottom of your screen. If there's not enough time to answer the queries, we'll get back to you afterwards. So let me start by asking Abbie to introduce herself. And Abbie, at the same time, tell us a bit about your journey at PIC and how the agency has grown. And then I'm going to come on to you, Laura, and ask the same. But Abbie, if you'd like to go for it.
Of course, thank you, Jane. And hello, everybody. I'm Abbie, and I'm the Managing Director at Pic PR. I have been working at Pic for nearly 10 years. Can you believe, Jane? 10 years. And I joined as the video and photography manager and then kind of grew with the company and became managing director about 3.5 years ago. It was an interesting time actually because I had the promotion at the party, Jane, if you remember, for our 10th birthday. And then on the Monday, I told David, our CEO and founder, that I was pregnant. So we had a few navigations to kind of run through there. But yeah, so we're nearly 14 years old. We're based in the Cotswolds and we are a team of 30. Obviously, hence why we're talking to everyone today. We do work in the hospitality sector. But we also work in the care sector, food and drink, technology, education, an array of sectors essentially. But our first ever client was a luxury hotel in the Cotswolds, and we now work with clients nationally and internationally. And as Jane said, we have been working with HOSPA for nearly 8 years, which can you believe? And also with Billesley, we've been working with Laura and the team for nearly 7 years. So hopefully you both do see us as an extension of your team. And I'll hand over to you.
Go for it, Laura.
So hello, everybody, and thanks for having me, Jane. I'm Laura Cherrington. I have been the Director of Sales and Marketing at Billesley Manor for just shy of 6 years, which has absolutely flown by. It seems like yesterday I walked into a hotel that was, the owners will admit, it was in dire need of a makeover, and they quickly suggested that, which was great to hear. So yeah, we had a full extension, not an extension, what am I saying? We had full refurbishment back in 2020, and then we all know what happened then. So while the hotel was closed, the owners decided to make the silver lining to the horrible cloud and ripped everything out. So we had a full refurbishment of the kitchen and the stuff that we probably wouldn't have been able to do had the hotel been open. So we definitely made the best of a bad situation. If you haven't heard of us, we're a 16th century manor house right in the heart of Shakespeare's County, so just 3 miles outside of Stratford-upon-Avon. Fully resort-like hotel. We've got a spa, we do events, we've got a beautiful garden. So yeah, that's us in a nutshell, really.
And a lovely setting of where you are right now, Laura. In one of the lovely.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'd love to tell people that this is my personal bedroom. It's not. It's one of our 4 poster rooms in the hotel.
And very beautiful it is too. And I was lucky enough earlier before we went live this morning, Laura showed me the view from the window, which is quite incredible, but I won't get you to do that again, Laura. So let's get started. A question for both of you. And Laura, do you want to go first? What do you believe is the biggest challenge in making a hotel stand out in today's crowded hospitality market?
Well, as you've implied, Jane, it's a very saturated market, and I know I'm always looking at ways to try and stand out from the crowd. I think for me, I've always been quite authentic in what we do and not just box ticking exercises. And I think real stories from real people, and as much as I can, because I think there's a time and a place for AI, but as much as I can, I do try and steer really far away from that. And, you know, again, that plays into the authenticity. And I think people are not silly. People can see straight through AI and ChatGPT nowadays. So yeah, I think just being real.
Brilliant.
And that's what it boils down to, really. And
sorry to interject, Laura.
You go ahead.
I was going to say for us and particularly with the new hospitality clients that we're working with, they're essentially saying to us that they're just finding it harder than ever to differentiate themselves. If you think about it, a lot of hotels are offering similar promotions, packages, even discounts. And then, as Laura just mentioned, with constant sort of social media content, even getting similar press to come and stay and do reviews, it's really hard to kind of be seen amongst all of that noise, and they're just getting lost. So yeah, that's kind of what we're finding at the minute. However, we do have a solution.
Well, yes, back to the title of today's webinar, Abbie. With so much content out there and so much competition, how can hotels break through the noise and make themselves stand out?
Brilliant question. So thank you for that, Jane. But for us, and what we're essentially advising our clients to do, is to adopt a purposeful PR approach. Essentially, stories that kind of mean something or built on a real issue. Obviously, there needs to be a newsworthy element, so something that hasn't been done before, or if it has, how have you done it better and for what reason? But it's essentially about telling authentic stories that matter to the media. We want them to write about your story or your campaign, but obviously to you, hence the purposeful PR approach. And then first and foremost, your sort of target audience. And then when you look at the campaign that we've done with Laura and the team at Billesley, the Making Travel Accessible campaign, this campaign was built on a real issue, and we'll talk about that now.
I'm so excited to talk about this. First time I heard of it. Well, we'll come on to that as well. But yes, making travel accessible. Laura, what is that and how did it come about? That's quite a big question, but I'll leave it.
That's okay. So it was basically a campaign that embodied all of the great work that we had done and around creating accessible travel. It actually started quite far back, about 3 years ago. And I don't know if I've mentioned this to you or not, Jane, actually, but I had an accident myself. So for a period of time, about June 2022, I had a very bad accident, was actually in a mobility scooter, believe it or not. Yeah, and I was going around the hotel in my mobility scooter, and I thought, this isn't quite as accessible as maybe I first thought it was. And we've done all the accessible, DDA compliant, all that great work. But actually, has anybody who is able-bodied ever been in a situation where they're not now able-bodied and zooming around the hotel? So I actually got some of my team to go and get in my mobility scooter and take a whiz round, and we worked out it was actually probably a little bit harder than we first imagined. So we did make some slight changes. And for anybody, I really recommend maybe hiring a mobility scooter and whizzing around your own property just to get a sense of the difficulties, actually. So that wasn't a great time of my life, but then I was on crutches and I've made a almost full recovery. But then we started looking at other things that we can do. For example, we had a lady that had come with her fiance. They were getting married, and she mentioned that she'd never been able to, all these properties, never been able to look at a brochure. And I thought, oh, let me have a look at that then. So we introduced a Braille brochure for weddings. So this bride could then ultimately read a brochure. And then I was like, what else can we do? And by literal coincidence, we had an incident where a guest was found wandering around the hotel at 2 a.m. And it's very hard to admit that you're not prepared for something, but we put our hands up. We were like, we are not prepared for this. They were with a carer, and we just didn't know how to deal with the situation. And then we realized this is a bigger issue than just the box ticking, the DDA compliant that we have to do. And then we thought, hang on, some of these traditional hotels, because you know, we are grade 2 listed buildings. We're sort of stuck in the realms of what we could possibly do as opposed to a more modern hotel. And then I was talking to one of our members of the team, and he said to me, my granddad's got dementia, he can never go away. I thought, that's really, really unfair. So this led to the decision to take in some proactive steps in making accessibility and awareness within our hotel. And we spoke to Pic, and together we created the Making Travel Accessible campaign.
Which is just incredible. And Abbie, do you want to pick it up from there and talk about what you decided to do and how you really put some sparkle onto that?
Definitely. I mean, when Laura came to us with the excuse me, with the issue essentially, we were obviously fully on board and wanted to make a difference. So we launched the campaign during World Alzheimer's Month. So I'm not sure if anyone knows what that is, but it's September every year. And essentially it was a 6-month campaign that we wanted to engage with Billesley to support their prospective guests. And what we did, so we had the dementia-friendly hotel guide, we had the Braille wedding guide, and then we also trained your spa therapist as well, didn't we, Laura?
Yes, yeah.
Because of our work in the care sector, we were obviously able to make some connections. So we connected Billesley and Laura with one of our home care providers they weren't far from you, Laura. They're probably what, half an hour, 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
So they essentially came in and provided Billesley's team with some dementia awareness training, which was amazing, and hopefully gave you the team obviously the tools, but also the confidence to support your guests. And I think alongside, you know, the 6-month campaign, just from those small initiatives, we were really able to obviously pull together and make the Making Travel Accessible campaign, but we made a real difference, and I think that's what we love the most.
And actually, sorry, Jane.
No, you go.
And you know, I don't want people to think that it was this a huge laborious task to make the hotel accessible to dementia patients, because it really, we made some considerable changes, don't get me wrong, but actually when New Age came in, just some small differences were making a real difference. And to put ourselves maybe in their shoes and to see how overwhelming maybe a hotel, especially of this grandeur, less scary for not just the patients but actually their carers. So we saw an opportunity to not only improve our own practices, but then it sparked a wider conversation about how hospitality can accommodate all guests regardless of needs. So I'm really proud of ourselves, actually.
Yeah, you should be. It's very commendable. So Abbie, obviously you're a PR company. You need to tell us about your tangible successes of this campaign, because although that wasn't the driver for it, it was a brilliant byproduct, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was probably the cherry on the top, wasn't it, Laura? Because we did want to make a difference. We wanted to support Billesley in that journey, but we generated nearly 50 pieces of coverage in an array of publications, including the feature with the Daily Telegraph, where obviously the journalist didn't come and stay. He sent some older family members to come and stay and experience Billesley Manor. And they then fed back to the journalist to kind of talk about how accessible Billesley actually were. So yeah, that was a really nice element, because obviously if we'd have sent the journalist, they're not really going to be able to talk about it. So we had a really nice alternative option. But website traffic did increase. So in terms of visitors to the homepage, it was 176%. So I'm just getting the figures off the top of my head. And then we also saw a 436% increase to the packages page, which was sort of amazing to kind of see that not only was our efforts making a difference in the real world, but we were actually getting some results for Laura. And obviously thinking commercially, you know, you do want to try and support them in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that great that the Telegraph sent older people? That goes back to your point, Laura, about authenticity as well. That was they really were testing you, but also having a great time at the same time, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, and he actually did have dementia. The guest that stayed, I believe it was the journalist's father-in-law, had actually had dementia himself. So it was a genuine guest from that perspective experience.
Brilliant. And Laura, Abby taught us about the great commercial successes from a PR perspective, but you must have had the same at Billesley. Did it really affect guest perceptions, and did it affect bookings, crucially?
Yeah, I think people started to see us as a leader in accessible travel. We've certainly been approached by organisations that offer stays for people that are needing a place where their guests feel secure. So, like a travel agent, we've gone on the books of some travel agencies that specialise in that sector, and this perception shift had a direct impact on our bookings for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I really became, I was vaguely aware of the campaign, but many of our listeners today are aware that HOSPA also runs the HMA, the Hotel Marketing Association. And with the HMA, we do Hotel Marketing Awards every year. And this particular campaign for Billesley, the dementia, making it very accessible for all sorts of different people, was entered into the awards. But despite its brilliance as a campaign, it didn't quite fit into any of the specific award criterias. But the judges were so impressed that we did something that we've never done before in 30 years of the awards. Not that I was there 30 years ago, but we created a brand new award specifically for this campaign called Making a Difference Award, especially for this Making Travel Accessible entry. Which was just so special. I remember when I got the phone call from the judges saying, "Could we do this?" I thought, well, yes, you definitely can do that because it is amazing. Abby, what do you think made this campaign so unique, so special?
From our side, and I think because this campaign essentially changed the conversation in the industry. Not only did it push accessibility to the forefront, but we were sort of essentially so proud that we weren't just essentially making or promoting a hotel. We were essentially advocating for that much needed shift change. And I think because it wasn't a gimmick or it wasn't a one-off initiative, it was just about creating meaningful change and making a difference. I think that's what the judges recognized. I mean, Jane, I don't know, were you a judge? You weren't a judge for this, I think.
I wasn't a judge, but I got the phone call immediately after they had finished judging, saying it just didn't quite, obviously the judging is quite a scientific process, and it didn't quite meet the criteria for the category. But they were so determined that Billesley were recognised for it that that's what that came about for the creation of the
Yeah, I
award.
think it comes down to it's just the impact that it had
Yeah.
on not only the industry as a whole, but also the guests as well, and potential future guests. I think, yeah, we were really proud to kind of support Laura with this campaign.
Yeah, which was great. So Laura, the judges described it as changing the industry for good, which is a remarkable accolade, really. How has this campaign shaped the conversation around accessible travel in the hospitality sector? Do you feel you've had a sort of knock-on effect? And also on that, what was it like working with Pic on the campaign?
Well, first of all, we worked with Pic for nearly 7 years. This was definitely our most rewarding campaign, and I keep coming back to that word that I love, which is authenticity. It wasn't just about box ticking for us. The team understood our vision from the start and helped us develop the campaign with purpose and, more importantly, some sensitivity. Fortunately for me, I've never had anybody in my family suffer with this terrible, terrible disease. So we had to, not tiptoe around it necessarily, but definitely give it the thought that it definitely recognised. Pic understood our idea, transformed it into a multifaceted campaign that not only educated our own team on site, but raised awareness within the broader industry. I mean, the team are all right to work with as well. I've got them all on WhatsApp, so they're easily contactable, which is one of my favourite things about Pic, actually, and very personable, But yeah, I was so proud on behalf of Billesley to win the award. I think I actually got a bit emotional because, again, like I keep saying, it wasn't just box ticking for me, but it's just made me realise that accessible travel isn't just a niche, it's actually a vital part of the future of hospitality.
Yes, and that's
when you were in, Oh, sorry, Jane, go on.
I was going to say that's what struck a chord with everybody in the room on the night, but also with the judges prior to the event. So yeah, sorry, Abby, back to you.
I was just going to say, and obviously when you were invited to the awards, Laura, you had no idea. You attended as a guest of PICS, so it was a real surprise.
Well, and actually, our award was like the last one. Well, what I thought we'd already done the last award,
Yeah.
because I thought there were like 6 or something. It might have been 6 or 7. So I was like ready to like grab another prosecco and and the evening. And then I thought, what's going on here? What's going on here? And then a couple of things were said, and I thought they cannot be talking about us. But I just kept hearing little things. I thought, no, we did that. Hang on, we did that. And then I thought, oh no.
Yeah.
Abby's camera's pointing over here somewhere.
And then you skipped up on stage to receive your award, didn't you?
Yes, yeah, not in a mobility scooter, thankfully. If it had been 3 years ago, I'd have been in one. So yeah, I was very, very touched. And I know that when I brought the award back to the hotel, I mean, it takes pride of place. It's on reception, and people do talk about it. It is a talking piece, because people say, what do you mean making a difference? So the team are so proud as well. It was definitely a collaborative effort. The whole team got involved. It wasn't just me and Pic or me and New Age. It was a real team effort.
Yes,
so
I mean,
thank you very much for the award.
Oh no, it was absolutely our honour to give it to you. But it was, you've mentioned the Braille for the bride who had eyesight difficulties, but also, and you mentioned training the spa people, and that was to give people massage who were suffering from cancer as well, which is just brilliant, because I'm sure you couldn't just go to your regular down the road spa and get a massage if you've got cancer.
So, yeah, I mean, unbeknown to me, you actually can't have treatments that include massaging the lymph nodes when you're at a certain way into treatment, or even after you're in remission. And we've got a great spa manager called Holly Phillips, who's been here a long time. And she said to me, we keep having to, if people don't tell us before they arrive, then we're having to give them bad news when they arrive and they filled out their consultation form. And that's not an easy conversation to have with somebody, to say, oh, I'm sorry you're going through treatment, but actually you can't have a massage either. So we got in touch with the Amethyst Trust, cancer specialists, and some of our team went, I want to say Manchester, but please don't quote me on that, went and did some training, because the massage techniques are very, very different. So now when somebody puts on their consultation form that they've been through treatment or they're in remission, they can have therapy with us, which is great. And it's really good for the soul, not to turn people away.
Really good. That's just, I mean, it's not a small thing at all, but it was just, when I was reading through, it was just another thing that just made this so spectacular. So yeah, many congratulations for looking at it in the whole. For those listening, please do remember to pop any questions you've got in the Q&A, or even comments if you want to pass anything on to either Laura or Abby. Do pop those in there. Now, Laura, at the beginning, you mentioned AI and authenticity, and that's you absolutely, and I get that you want to be authentic and AI isn't going to give you that. I was going to say at the time that it can be great for some back-end processes sometimes.
Oh, for sure. I think it's got a place.
Yes. Well, I was going to ask Abby, actually, with all the technology advances in recent years, I mean, it feels not really years, it's months, isn't it? It feels like a racing car breaking through all the records for speed at the moment. There's loads of talk around AI in PR, and now old-fashioned SEO, now GEO. What's your view on how this is shaping hospitality comms, Abby?
It is very similar to kind of what Laura's mentioned. So obviously it is reshaping the industry dramatically, I would say, but not necessarily for the better. Again, going down Laura's line, obviously everyone is using AI on a daily basis, but almost to an extent where they're using it to churn out content. If you look at your LinkedIn feed, for example, you can just spot the AI content from a mile off. It's drowning out creativity and essentially making people switch off. And that is why you mentioned GEO. So I have to say that really slowly so I don't stumble. But yeah, that's why we're focusing on GEO, which is the generative engine optimization. And that's all about creating smart earned media that essentially is informing what AI shows people in the search results. Because there's been an astronomical increase to people using ChatGPT, for example, for their searches rather than Google. And think back to probably even 5 years ago, you know, where you would write a generic blog post about the top 10 things to do near my hotel. That just doesn't get you there anymore. However, a bold, purposeful campaign like what we've done with Billesley, that really does.
Yes, and we've used ChatGPT here internally, and because we do understand the hospitality industry, we know some of the results it gives us are just not right, and
Yeah.
that's quite scary, really. When you just think, I think one of my colleagues was looking for a particular niche of independent hotels, and they asked, and it came back with something that we looked at it and thought, well, goodness me, A, we could have come up with a better list ourselves in the time it took, but B, just the accuracy just wasn't there. So I think we do have to be careful about it. Right at the very beginning, Abbie, you mentioned that you work with a lot of exclusive luxury hotels. Is PR still crucial for them? And what's your view of the sort of traditional hospitality PR and where we are with that in August 2025?
And from our point of view, and a lot of traditional hospitality PR agencies offer services that we believe, and this is our opinion, sort of don't really cut through the noise. Obviously, they're inviting journalists and influencers to come and stay for free. But obviously, we don't think, and perhaps others will agree, that there's not really much creative thought there. And it is why, I don't know if you saw it, Jane, so W Hotels, they turned to a big creative PR agency rather than a traditional hospitality PR agency. And for me, it kind of just shows that creativity and purposeful PR, I should have a little tally of how many times I've mentioned purposeful is essentially what does cut through the noise. And we're really, really proud at Pic. So we're probably one of the most decorated agencies outside of London, with 65 nominations/wins in the last 4 years alone. And yeah, Billesley was another one of those.
Yes. Yes, and we love working with you because every so often you'll come to me and the team here with an idea of something we could do at HOSPA, and we kind of look at you thinking, really? Sometimes it's so creative. It's kind of like, oh, that really gives it some thought. But that's absolutely fantastic. And then between us, we'll melt that down into something that actually works, which is the privilege of working with an agency like Pic, and which is why I've stayed with you for so long, because I haven't had any need to look beyond the services I'm getting from you, which is great.
I think it was about the 3 year mark, and you joked to me, Jane, and you said, you know, I should be changing agencies after 3 years. And you went, but I'm not going to do that. And look at us, you know, we're nearly 8 years in now.
Yeah, no, well, it's great. I think the fact that you're such a young team, I feel like an old person saying that, but you're such a young team. It's a very fast-paced agency, and there's a lot of energy. And coming to your offices is just really, really full of
I was
energy.
going to say, Jane, have you been to the offices?
I have.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, very cool.
Makes me feel very old.
So to everyone listening, we haven't got any questions yet, which is fine because I know we can fill the time very easily. I've got loads, but if you do have any questions or comments, please do pop them in. We'd love to hear from you. So yes, Abbie, I think legacy content, what does that mean in the context of hospitality PR?
So legacy content, and it's a term that we've been using probably for the last 12 months, but it's essentially the content that people remember. So if you think about scrolling on your phone, it's that thumb stopping content which will make you engage, read more about it. Or you could look at our Making Travel Accessible campaign. It's essentially a campaign that becomes a reference point. And essentially, yeah, it's designed to get people to take notice and to stop the scrolling, in a nutshell. So I'm aware of time.
that's fine. As I say, we actually, amazingly, we must have done such a good job at putting the message across that people aren't asking questions, which is fantastic. But I've got some. Um, what would you say, and I don't know who to ask this for first, but what's the key takeaway for hotels looking to make a difference with their PR? I guess really that's for you, Abby. But Laura, if you want to add anything, please do just jump in there as well. The key takeaway for hotels looking to make a difference.
For me, the key takeaway is essentially to tell stories that have a real impact. And obviously embrace purposeful PR. That's kind of my really short key takeaway, because me and Laura have obviously spoken. I know, Laura, you've got a few things to say, potentially with the word beginning with A. There you go. And you've already mentioned it a few times.
Oh yeah. So I mean, like I said before, AI has got a purpose and it's got a place. I do genuinely believe that. But I joked to David not so long ago from Pic that I hate spelling mistakes. I'm like the grammar police. But actually, when I see a spelling mistake or something on posts, it makes me smile, because I think that is not AI generated. I know that that's a real person that's taken their time and thought over a post. So I can bypass the spelling or grammar mistake, and sometimes I think maybe I'll pop some in just to make sure people know that it's us behind the campaigns. I think, like I said, it having a place but not relying solely on it. And I love the word authenticity. I must have said it a million times during this webinar, but I think if people can really see that you are genuine with your processes and your thoughts, and you're not just box ticking, I think that's a massive takeaway for me. And to be recognised as well for creating a genuine purpose for those guests, which I feel that we've done here. And the award was just a bonus. Very delighted to have received it, but it was just a bonus. I was proud of us anyway.
Yes, and it really did make a difference. Right, we actually, I was beginning to wonder if our Q&A function was working, but now we're being flooded. Lots of congratulations messages for both, actually, for the hotel, obviously, Laura, and also just for Pic for taking that to the next level. But there's one here specifically for you, Abby. With the need for authenticity to break through AI content, how do you see the future of social media influencers in hotels?
Well, that's a loaded question, because it goes back to the strategy as well. So, and that's how the purposeful PR will be able to link in, because not only are you're trying to make a difference, but you've got to link it to your core values. So you need to work with influencers that are going to help you get there. And sorry, the question's gone, Jane. Can I see? Oh, there it is. And I think that just goes back to working with the appropriate influencers, not mass influence, because you get so many blaggers, if you like, who kind of just want to come for a free stay. You've really got to drill it back to your purpose and why you're trying to engage with them, because essentially they will help you get there, but it's got to be the right type of influencer.
Yeah, I also think with influencers, sorry, I know that this wasn't directed at me, but for me, they've got to be on brand as well. It's very important for me to be on brand. Our demographic is probably a bit higher age group than a trendy hotel down the road. So do I want trendy influencers? And also, those influencers that do multiple stays per week, I'm just going to get what's the word? It's gone from my head. Diluted. Yeah. So, that thumb stopping content, people are just going to be scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So that's what's really important to me.
Yes.
And engagement. It's engagement as well, isn't it? Sometimes I think people say I get inundated with requests, and people say, I've got 8,000 followers, and I'm like, okay, but when I actually look at the engagement, it's maybe not so high.
It's a bit of an art to navigate through influencers, because you could have someone that's got 1 million followers and they get sort of 10 likes per post. So again, it does go back to the engagement, and that's a key factor that we kind of look into, and obviously referral traffic as well. So what they can do through their stories, how they can link back to your website. And not always it's about the followers, it really is about the engagement. And yeah, we've kind of seen that.
Yeah, and when we did a TikTok, TikTok's new for Billesley Manor, but we did a TikTok with Pic, about 3 months ago, I think it was now. And actually, we did a behind the scenes bloopers of the actual
I
TikTok.
think you were heavily featured, Laura. You were heavily featured in
Oh,
that.
it was all about me. It was all about me for sure. But if you want a bit of a laugh, go and have a look at Billesley Manor's TikTok. The bloopers one, I think, got more views than the actual post.
But again,
Yes,
it goes back to being authentic and kind of showing personality, and that's what you need to do,
Yes.
and what will make you stand out. I mean,
Yes,
obviously, you're a really amazing character, Laura. So you engage the audience, but yeah.
and
I don't know
as
about
the bloopers video shows, totally professional at all times.
that. Oh, there was not one swear word. Not one.
After it had been bleeped out. Um,
Yes.
so taking this back actually to sort of a proper marketing question, I think this is next to impossible to answer, but I'll ask it anyway. How do you measure the real ROI, return on investment, of influencer stays and press trips? I think, yeah.
I mean, I, I I get asked this quite a lot, mainly by investors. um, I don't think you can. I don't think you can is the honest answer, because I always say to people, I do a lot of events here, and sometimes they don't produce a huge revenue stream. However, how do I know that that person that's come doesn't know somebody that's getting married, and then they put their wedding on the back of that? There's just no way to navigate that. So I'll leave that one to Abbie.
I don't think Abbie, I think that's quite tough for Abbie to answer as well, but go on,
Yeah.
swing it over to her, see what she
Yeah,
does.
it is tricky, and we get asked the question all the time. Obviously, we are trying to focus on any tangible results. So, has there been any direct bookings off the back of it? If not, have you seen an increase to your web traffic through a certain landing page because of the direction that the influencer's kind of given? Or again, just awareness. So, they might remember, so the followers of that influencer might remember seeing a post about staying at Billesley Manor, and then might book. That's where it gets tricky, and kind of what Laura was saying, where you can't truly measure that.
And that booking could be a year later, so you would never be able to link that back.
Exactly.
So another one actually for you, Laura, about how you manage to sell it internally. So the question is, sometimes the buy-in of PR concept is hard to get past stakeholders who just want to see hard revenue returns. With some fantastic activations, how did Laura position them to decision makers for buy-in, or did you just do it? I can imagine you just say, "I'm doing this," but you
Yeah, I'm quite bolshy. I think because I've been here nearly 6 years, our owners put their trust in me. So I don't really have to. I'm very lucky, and I do know that I'm very lucky that I have the autonomy to make decisions, and sometimes those decisions are wrong, and I hold my hands up, and we learn from them. But I am very lucky in that respect. My general manager's very well, he doesn't really understand all the pay-per-clicks and all of the juicy stuff that I do with Pic anyway. So he won't mind me saying that, by the way. He won't mind me saying that. He knows that he doesn't understand all the technical terms. So he does leave that to me. And we also put our trust in Pic as well. I think it's very important to have trust in the people that you work with. And if you don't, you're working with the wrong people.
And I think, Laura, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the fact that we obviously have worked with Billesley for so long, and you view us as an extension of your team, we're like we're in-house, we're sat with you, we're not that external agency, and that is our ethos. And hopefully, Jane, you felt the same. So I think that perhaps helped. But yeah, we specifically when we start working with new clients, we can sense a bit of resistance, and we're like, just let go, and we'll essentially put the proof in the pudding with the results. So yeah, hopefully that helps.
Yes, no, it's so true. We know that the tone of voice when it comes, people wouldn't know necessarily if it was something coming from Pic or directly from hospital, because that tone of voice thing is so authentic, because we know you so well and you know us so well. We have got one probably last question now because we are running out of time. It's a follow-up question actually. It's about paid social media advertising. Do you think it's still necessary if a hotel has a strong organic PR coverage?
Ooh. Again, for me, I think it's got a place. We've used it. I think you have to. But I will always let Pic take the lead on that as well, to be honest. And I know that sounds like I'm totally passing the buck, but especially if I'm trying to direct for weddings, for example. If there's a direct campaign and I know I need to target a certain demographic, then I think that's it's needed. But if you look at any of our pieces, anything that's around people and our team gets a much higher engagement on social. So I hope that resonates with people, and if it doesn't, we'll just pay for it to be.
It's a really tricky one, because similar to what Laura said, so we kind of advise our clients it needs to be a targeted approach. If you want to increase corporate bookings, for example, then look at a bit of a targeted campaign, or like Laura said, with weddings or even gym memberships through the spa, then that's it's got its own need and purpose. You could use it if you've got a campaign and you want to essentially amplify and reach a wider audience, but we at Pic, we just focus on organic PR coverage, and then it's got its place in some areas, but not daily.
Brilliant. Okay, so any more questions, we'll get back to you afterwards because we really are running out of time now. Just a really sort of one sentence answer, if you can, Laura. What's next for Billesley Manor?
I think the sky's the limit for us, to be honest, and we'll continue to build on the success of this campaign and keep looking for ways to enhance accessibility across our hotel, but including our spa, our events that are coming up as well. So just to continue on the success, really.
Brilliant. And Abbie, the same question to you. What's next for Pic PR?
Well, aside from HOSPA, Jane, we've got lots of planning and things in motion ready for the 13th of November. So yeah, we have quite a big team that go down to HOSPA and get involved. So we've got lots on the horizon there. But from our own point of view, we're always working on purposeful campaigns, and we've got quite a few in the pipeline. Hopefully, we can be shortlisted for more awards. But again, it's really about us supporting our clients and making that difference. It's what's rewarding for us, and that's what we kind of thrive on.
Yes, and I think both Laura and I can vouch for that as being 100% authentic.
Yes.
Thank you, Abbie, and thank you, Laura. That was as enlightening as it was inspiring, so I really appreciate that. And definitely, purposeful PR and authenticity are the words of the day. So everyone needs to have that in their head to have a successful day today. Thank you all very much for listening. As ever, if you need formal advice, then please approach your professional advisor or come to me at HOSPA for a referral. If you'd like an introduction to Abbie at Pic PR, then please let me know and I'll be really happy to connect you. And likewise, if you'd like to connect with Laura, please let me know. I'm sure she would love to chat to anybody as well who would like more information. And then if everyone could do me a favour and have a look at hospa.org for our other upcoming events. We've got a webinar coming up on Martin's Law and the Protection of Premises Act. So that's going to be really interesting for probably some of the listeners today, but perhaps your colleagues who focus on risk and terrorism prevention. That's on the 9th of September. And our now annual Great Green Balloon Debate is on the 16th of October at the Melia White House in London. I'm really looking forward to this event. Last year was a crash course in ESG and how to save the planet. And wherever you were on your sustainability ESG journey then, it's one not to miss because it covers so much and makes you realise what potentially you haven't thought about before and allows you to deep dive into that. Our golf day at the Belfry, it was meant to be in August, but it was postponed until the 23rd of October. So if you're a golfer, or even if you're not a golfer, please do have a look and sign up for that. And then, as Abbie mentions, HOSPACE, our annual conference, our biggest event of the year. Please do secure yourself a delegate ticket as soon as you can so that you can join us on the 13th of November at the Royal Lancaster, London. I know Abbie, and I'm pretty sure Laura will be there, but as Abbie says, she comes with a big team. And Laura, I'd like to see you there as well, please. Thank you.
Of course.
Also on the website, you can find recordings of all our webinars and masterclasses, which are also on our YouTube channel. And today's webinar will be uploaded within the next few days. But thank you all so much for listening. Thank you again, Laura, and thank you, Abbie. I look forward
Thank
to
you, Jane.
all again
Thank you so
soon.
much, Jane.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.